Health is said to be wealth, meaning health is the greatest wealth an individual can possess. The World Health Organization, WHO, defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. In recent times, there is a rise in cases of mental illness. WHO says about half of the world's adult population is affected by a mental illness. In a report, the body projects that by 2029, mental illness will be the main cause of disease globally. And so, on this episode of Frontiers, we shall be taking a look at the rising cases of mental illness and factors associated with it. I am Obiageli Ugwoke. To throw more light on this health condition is a clinical psychologist with the Gariki Hospital, Daniel Kokona. Glad to have you on the program. Come.
Thank you very much.
The program continues in just a moment. Please stay with us. Once more, you're welcome. Now, let's start with what constitutes mental illness and what are the early signs?
Mental illness. Let me start by defining what mental health is all about. Mental health is, it has to do with an individual emotional, psychological stability and well-being. When we talk about mental illness, we're talking about instability in this aspect I just mentioned now. When an individual maybe started having some kind of distorted thinking, confused thinking, abnormal behavior, and what have you. So in that situation, we can refer to the fact that this person is having some kind of mental illness. Though there are signs to qualify that an individual is having a mental illness. I think we'll talk about that much later.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that much later. But what are the symptoms which suggest that an individual has a mental health problem or is mentally imbalanced?
Okay. When an individual begins to experience withdrawal from interpersonal relationship, from family members, from friends and neighborhoods, an individual always wants to be alone. He wants to be left alone all the time. And also having some kind of fatigue. What I mean by fatigue is low energy. An individual always wants to be lying down. Lots of interest also to some interesting thing one individual always like doing. And lack of concentration and the rest of them. So these are exactly signs that constitute the fact that someone is beginning to have mental illness. If not checked, it can result to mental disorders.
Are there other signs?
Yes.
Several signs that are very easy to detect.
Just like I said, withdrawal is an easy sign for one to detect that this is a problem. When you know an individual that is a jovial person, somebody that always like to relate with people, but all of a sudden the person just started getting withdrawn from the society, withdrawn from family members. Even when asked what is the problem, an individual cannot really explain why he or she is actually, though people have problems. When you see an individual or somebody beginning to exhibit such behaviors, you know that the person has problem. But most of which is people sometimes don't open up. So when you begin to see signs like that, like I said, loss of interest to activities one likes doing always, it could be a sign that there's a problem. Also nervousness, distorted thinking, confused behavior. These are signs that, yes, there is a problem. or somebody is having a problem, and that this could be reflect to the fact that there could be mental illness.
Are there factors that are responsible for this health condition, and what exactly trigger mental health?
Yeah, there are numerous factors that can actually be a trigger to mental illnesses. Stress is one. What we mean by stress, there are environmental stress. Stress one can have at work. Stress one can have as a result of interpersonal relationship. Stress that one can have as a result of daily activities within the day. That can also pose or predispose an individual to having a mental problem. And also, situation of the country, the socio-economic situation of the country can also be a factor that can predispose an individual to mental illnesses. When we talk about that, we talk about poverty. A lot of people who are less privileged are vulnerable to mental illnesses, because in a situation where you lose hope, you lose help, in situations like that, if you cannot handle it, of course, your thoughts alone. And I always tell people that, look, one major factor to mental illness is the way people think. When you are not sure of your next meal, or when you have problem and if you are unable to solve the situation or solve your problem, it can predispose you to mental illnesses.
All right, we'll pause here. I'll get back to you. This is Frontiers, and we are taking a look at the rising cases of mental illness and factors associated with it. The conversation continues shortly. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at various categories of this mental illness. What are the types of mental illnesses, and which are the most common in Nigeria?
We have quite a number of mental illnesses that are ranging from depression, or depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorders, and quite a number of them. But just like you said, the most common are usually anxiety disorders and depressive disorders. These are the most common that most people in Nigeria are vulnerable to, are susceptible to.
So those are the specific ones that are peculiar to us as a country.
Yeah, just too peculiar, just common to most people.
All right. Now, reports from the World Health Organization, which is rather frightening, indicates that mental illness is on the rise. Why is it so? I mean, we are in a developed world, and we shouldn't be having such much of such challenges now.
Yes, I'll start by saying, you know, the world is sick now. When I say the world is sick, I mean there are a lot is happening, ranging from natural disasters, economic downturn. Of recent, we see a hike in petroleum prices that actually caused a devastating situation to most Nigerians. Most Nigerians cannot afford transfer fare, probably to workplaces, probably to where they want to go to travel from one state to the other. And also, when you go to the market, you discover that price of commodities have actually gone higher. So in situations like that, when you don't really have the means for you to afford and purchase what you want, it can predispose you to mental illness, because most people begin to feel traumatized, feel disappointed in the system. So in situations like that, of course, if you don't manage yourself very well, you can eventually begin to have symptoms of mental illness.
So how do we strike a balance? Because from what you're explaining, it's not just left for an individual to guard against this kind of illness. The government too has a role to play. Other factors are contributing, like harsh economic realities, and just like you've counted a number of challenges we are facing right now in the country. So how do we strike a balance, and what is expected of the government to ensure that we, if not rid it off completely, at least reduce it to barest minimum?
Of course, now, to strike a balance in a situation like that, people should be led to be aware of detrimental situations like that that can pose an individual to having mental illness. When you are quite aware of the fact that my situation or the problem I'm currently going through
Can actually result to
if it's not
something
well
like
managed,
that.
can actually push an individual to having mental illness. In situations like that, an individual can manage you or herself, so that you don't just get yourself on the other side. So, and of course, government can do a lot. Government can do a lot. Just like I said earlier, of course, in situations, prices of the hike
Prices
in
of the
petrol
petrol.
price that actually caused a devastating situation. Of course, government should be able to provide a palliative this and that, so that people can actually find it soft, or can have a soft landing, so that you can be able to navigate yourself through as a situation or condition gets better by time. And also, government can also
There should be measures to cushion the effect.
very good. There should be measures to cushion the effect of the situation that is currently going on in the country of recent.
All right, now, can we say that in Nigeria there are adequate facilities and personnel to handle mental health issues, since WHO has already projected that it will be the leading cause of diseases by the year 2029?
I think that is one of the major problems we have now in regards to mental health. I think mental health in Nigeria has not been given the needed attention, particularly in Nigeria. I know mental health bill was signed into law recently by former President Buhari. I think somewhere around January, that's when mental health bill was signed into law. So that's to tell you, for the past decade, there have been struggle. There is no legal document to back up mental activities in Nigeria. As such, there is no attention given to that sector. So you discover that people with situations like that don't even know where to go to. And most people, particularly in the villages, you might be going through some kind of mental problem, but people regard it as a normal thing, because they are not really aware of the fact that this could be a mental problem. If an individual is having the necessary information he needs to have in regards to mental health, then you should be able to know what to do when you begin to see some sign, or when you begin to notice some changes in yourself or to anybody that is around you. You should be able to know that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is where to go to seek for help. In Nigeria, it's not like this. I know in Abuja, there are quite a number of facilities for people that are exposed, people that are knowledgeable in regards to mental health. But when you go to the rural areas, the state, the villages, these are people that are completely in dark in regards to mental health. Somebody may be having some kind of issues that needed an urgent attention in regards to mental health. he or she will even know where, will not know where to go to. So it's a problem. So like I said, that has not been given the needed attention in Nigeria. Not until recently the bill was passed by, signed by the former President Buhari. But before the bill was actually sent to Mr. President to assent to it, it has suffered several setbacks. It has suffered several. That's not supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. I think at this stage, government need to do a lot. This present government need to do a lot in regards to mental health. And I want to tell you that mental health is an integral part of health, public health. But because it's something that has not been given attention for quite some time, in the health sector, that is not much regarded. But I know with the passing of the bill recently, I think that attention will begin, probably Ministry of Health, the government generally will begin to give attention to that direction.
Now, what would you say is your assessment of mental health awareness in Nigeria compared to other countries of the world?
Nigeria is quite left behind in terms of sensitization and creating the needed awareness in regards to mental health. We are really, really left behind. We need to improve on that, because if you, just like we earlier said and discussed, more people are beginning to get vulnerable to mental illnesses. The reason is because we've mentioned some of them. The socio-economic situation of the country is one of which.
Now, taking a look at, from what you've said, that if individuals are actually aware of factors that could trigger mental health illness, they will take precaution. There will be precautionary measures.
Yes.
Taking a look at what is happening in the rural area, the number of people who have suffering from this challenge, and then what we have in the urban city. How would you rate both? Do you say people in the urban areas are more prone, and what would they do to guide against it, or the people in the rural areas?
Both the people in the rural area and also people in the urban area all are prone to mental illness. But the severe situation, you find it in the rural areas, because in the rural areas, people are not really aware of that fact that this could be this could be that. So because they are not aware, however it is, when situations like that arises, it will just get worse, because there are no measures, and such an individual is not really has not really getting the needed education and awareness in regards to mental health. Just like I said earlier, once that happens, people look at it as being normal. You understand? People look at it as being normal. So it's always difficult for measures to be taken for people in places like that, so to mitigate situations of mental health. Unlike people in the urban area, of course, they are prone to it, but they know where to go, because there are facilities. And it might interest you to know that I think most facilities that take care of mental health issues, particularly in Abuja, of course, they are somehow expensive. They're somehow expensive. So if it is expensive, how much can a poor man afford to be able to take care of himself in facilities like that?
Okay, going forward, what should be done on the part of the government, mental health practitioners, non-governmental organizations, to give this disease much needed attention?
I think awareness, education. On the part of the government, I think making mental health service delivery in the primary health care. I think including it in primary health care will be very, very vital and very, very important. Because usually, you know, for people in the rural areas, primary health care is the first meeting point.
Point of call.
Very good. So if that can be included in the primary healthcare services, I think from there, that awareness will be created. From there, a light diagnosis can be made to be able to educate the person that, look, this is what could be going through with you, or this could be what is happening with you. So can we take it up from there to where you can have the major facility to get the treatment you need, you deserve.
What about the non-governmental organizations? What do we expect from?
Of course,
such
publicity, awareness. There's nothing for non-governmental organization. What is needed from them is
we've seen quite a number of them talking about diseases like cancer, HIV, AIDS, other meningitis, and so much more. But we've not seen any particular organization that is creating much awareness on mental health
I think
issues.
they are, but they are not just doing the needful. Some of them are actually trying, but I think we should have some kind of improvement on that. More non-governmental organizations should get involved in activities of mental health, taking the campaign to rural areas where people are ignorant, people lack the understanding, people lack the education. It will be very, very important if most governmental organizations can include mental health campaign to their responsibility and activities too.
So now to individuals, what would be your final advice to them as per how they can guide against falling a victim?
For an individual, one should be able to checkmate him or herself and do as much as you can to manage stress, because stress itself is a leading cause of mental illness. So if one should be able to, if one can note the fact that stress is a leading cause of mental illness, of course, people go through stress on a daily basis, because you just have to get yourself involved in one or two things to do. And in course of doing that, of course, definitely you get yourself stressed out.
You have to hustle and struggle
Very
to make
good.
both
So
ends
while
meet.
doing all that, you know, an individual, you just need to strike the balance. If you are beginning to feel stressed up in what you are doing, know that at this point in time, I need that rest. I need to take a bow. I need to retire to have the needed rest.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Daniel Kokona.
Thank you very
We're
much.
most appreciative of your responses.
Thank you very much for having me.
We have been taking a look at the rising cases of mental health, and our guest has been Daniel Kokona, a clinical psychologist with Garike Hospital, Abuja. Many thanks for staying with us. My name is Sobiagili Ugoke.